Good afternoon. My name is Samantha, and I am here to share with you guys how important it is to use therapeutic restraints in residential treatment. In the past week, I have had a chair thrown at my head. I have been hit, kicked, punched, urinated on, and spit at. And each one of those actions resulted in a therapeutic restraint. And it's really important that people understand that these are not a form of punishment. It keeps clients and staff safe from violent acts and self-harm. It also allows for a child to de-escalate safely. They're not self-harming. They're not violently taking their anger out on staff or other clients. And through those, we use two systems of restraints. The first one is called a TCI, Therapeutic Crisis Intervention. And those are for clients in states who have determined that it is not appropriate for them to be face down. And then we also use a PRT, and that's a primary restraint technique. Shown is a sitting PRT that we use regularly at work to secure a child who is a harm to themselves or to others. In this next slide, I want to focus on what you guys are probably thinking right now, and that is, do these restraints cause more harm than good? And the answer is no. You would really be surprised at how quickly a child wants to rebuild that relationship with you, how quickly they want to apologize for their actions because they understand through the treatment they're receiving that it's not a way to get what they want. It's not how they need to react to be heard anymore. They can communicate with us, and that's really showing them that we still want to build a relationship with them even after a hands-on. And I also want to touch base on how important it is for us as residential workers to be trauma informed. We need to understand the gravity of putting our hands on a child who has been through countless amounts of trauma. It's usually sexualized, and we need to be aware of that. And we need to be aware of what restraints are more appropriate for a child who has been through sexual trauma. Each time a restraint is performed, a licensed nurse needs to check in with the child within 2 hours to talk about any injuries, any gashes, if they feel pain in their joints. And that's all safety precautions. And believe it or not, an injury is more likely to happen to a staff because this child is still hitting, kicking, punching on the way down to being secured. As soon as a child is able to agree to safety expectations, they're released quickly and swiftly. It is not our goal to keep a child pinned down to the ground. And for that reason, we never want to reiterate to a child that if you do this, you're going to be restrained. A restraint is not a punishment, and it should not be reiterated as a consequence. So what I'd like you to take away from this is exactly that. Never use a restraint as a punishment or a consequence. They've had enough trauma in their lives with people putting their hands on them inappropriately, and we as therapeutic workers don't need to continue that cycle. Always, always, always talk with the client after they have reached a baseline, their regular baseline. You need to check in with them. You need to talk to them about the behaviors, why hands were put on, and go over their safety expectations again. Restraints are a vital part of keeping clients and staff in trauma-informed residential care safe. Lastly, it is always our job as residential workers to seek improvement on our de-escalation skills so that we don't have to put hands on as frequently as some other schools do. We want the child to learn coping skills. We want them to understand that they don't have to act out violently. You can sit down and have a conversation with me, and you can still be yelling at me and feeling angry without me going in and hurting you. It is our job as adults in these kids' lives to show them that just because we're having an argument, I'm not going to hit you and I'm not going to abuse you. And for that reason, therapeutic restraints are incredibly necessary in residential care treatment. Any questions or comments will be welcomed at the end. Thank you.